What is your red flag in a woman or man when you're in the early stages of dating? When I feel like I have to initiate every single contact between us, and if I don't we simply won't talk that day. When a friend told me she's cheated on every boyfriend she ever had. Yay, but she cares about me bro, spoiler, she did not. I talked to a good friend and somewhat potential GF of mine, and she told me how she cheated on her BF and what she is expecting from a guy. Literally unachievable conditions. She wants a bad boy who cares but doesn't, etc. I noped so fast out of the idea to be with her. Being committed and honest is my top priority. Edit. Also, girls who have zero idea what they want or just want to have fun are extremely unattractive to me. I don't care what they do, but don't make my life more difficult, babe. Lack of straightforward communication. But I'm afraid he/she will yell at me if I tell the truth. Says every coward. To be fair, it is somewhat some parents' fault. Otherwise that's fact. Being flaky with communication and or meeting up. To an extent life can and will get in the way, but there's a certain level of enthusiasm you want to see from a potential partner, and if they can't muster it during the honeymoon stage of dating, it's probably not going to improve later. The girl I most recently dated was like this. She would respond within a window each day, which to be fair was between school and work. Then eventually she would respond every few days, and then just didn't respond for like a month. I had essentially given up, but sent a text that was just like, hey, so I haven't heard from you in a literal month. I'm guessing you lost interest, but would appreciate just being told. Yep, she claimed she wanted to focus on herself instead of being in a relationship. I still took it as she just wasn't interested in being in a relationship with me. Based on some things she did/said, I get the impression she's actually kind of afraid of a committed relationship on an unconscious level. Even if she doesn't realize it. I had already started talking to other people, since it was pretty clear she wasn't interested when she didn't respond to me or text me for a literal month. Still hurt though, cause she was really cool until all that started. Yelling. My pop was a yeller, as is my brother. Sends me into immediate panic. A guy dated a guy who was a yeller. Actually, he was a downright screamer. The kicker was, he'd be screaming at me, and I'd ask him calmly to stop screaming at me, and he'd scream that he wasn't screaming at me. Okay, but he was also a huge alcoholic, and I think that had something to do with it. I dreaded bringing up any issue, no matter how big or small, because it would send him into this blind rage of screaming. No matter what, he'd label every discussion of ours a fight. I couldn't have a conversation with him where he didn't feel attacked. He came from a family of drunk screamers, so I'm really glad I dodged that bullet. Wow. Just imagining Thanksgiving Day at the in-laws. I like girls who are physically affectionate, but my ex was so clingy she had her gay friends visit the gay bar I worked at to make sure I wasn't flirting with girls. Straight bartender at a 99% male gay bar. Why would she send her gay friends to you, lol? Oversteps boundaries too quickly, pushy, tells you what to do, invasive questions. The one that raises straight away for me is if they talk bad or down on others, even people they don't know, and it's merely off how they look or dress. Good answer. I ignored this red flag in my now ex-wife. Stayed together 17 years, 10 years too long, until she cheated, as I knew she would. From the first time we hung out, she treated restaurant servers, cashiers etc. poorly, which I find despicable, but I chose to live with it. When they're way too clingy, my ex told me he loved me 2 days after we were dating, wanted to meet my family after 3 days, called my cat our son, constantly planned our future and how our kids would look like, and our wedding, and I'm smart enough to know when to nip this shit in the bud. Geez, that doesn't sound healthy at all. I usually wait at least a week. I'm more a 2-year guy. It's worked out well. I'm more of a 2-second guy, but we might be talking about different things. Once met a woman at my best friend's wedding. I was the best man, and she was a bridesmaid. She followed me around all night and kept calling me her future hubby. I ended up hiding/pretending to be passed out for much of the reception. Hey, it's a wedding, so it doesn't count. What happens at a wedding, stays at a wedding. Maybe I've not been to many weddings. If all their exes are crazy or assholes. I've got a few normal exes that due to life circumstances on one side or the other, or both, Didn't work out. I've got a few that we just weren't long-term compatible. And like most I do, have a couple that are. At least they were different kinds. Batshit crazy. But if all their exes are jerks, it most likely means that they are the jerk. The two crazies I dated both spoke this way about all their former relationships. Playing head games. We are not in high school, and you aren't on The Bachelorette. Be honest, sincere, and forthcoming, and we'll get along just fine. I'm in my mid-30s, and thus am too old and rickety to jump through hoops. Blowing up my phone at 2 in the morning is a big one for me. I don't mind so much if it's 1 or 2 messages late at night, so long as they obviously know most people are asleep around then. But if I wake up to like a dozen or so texts where they're growing increasingly mad that I'm not responding, it's a red flag. Oh, I do the opposite of this. I have an alternate sleep schedule, largely due to anxiety, so I give my girlfriend a sweet good morning message to wake up to, so she can start her day happy. I found out recently that my dad does the same for my mom. Yeah, and I think that's generally fine, because you're not going off at her, and you obviously know she's going to be asleep when you send those messages. It's mostly the people who grow increasingly irate about it and spam you who bother me, to be honest. If they aren't willing to compromise on things, or they think their time is more precious than yours. My ex lived about 30 minutes away from me. I always met at his place or his town for stuff, be never the other way around because he was too tired. It got under my skin, because he literally was a 5-minute drive from his job and I already averaged about 90 miles a day for work alone. So I'd drive for work, go home and then drive to his place. One day he tried rushing me out of our morning yoga class that ran over time, like got really uptight about it, so he wouldn't be late for work, still 5-minute way. Meanwhile I was gonna have at least a 25-minute commute to get to my job, and wasn't that worried about it. I broke things off for other reasons, but that one really buttered my rolls, because I dealt with it every day. I dated a guy for 2 months that flat out told my dad we started dating just before my birthday, so they met for a birthday dinner. He wanted to get me pregnant so he could lock me in. I then found out he had a separate life when his other girlfriend found my phone number on my business page. Told your dad? Yes. Like, within 10 minutes of meeting he tells my dad he wanted to knock me up just so I would stay with him. WTF. Speaking from my experience from my one relationship I've had so far that was abusive, distrust. If the person is suspicious you are a cheater on no basis other than their own insecurity, run. OMG run please. Save yourself the heartache and degradation. When they dodge answering questions, or cut you off when you're talking, I give them a pass the first time, because it might be nerves, but if it keeps happening it's not okay. This is a really good one. I'm lucky that I went out on a couple of dates with a very straightforward girl a few years ago. There were a number of reasons she didn't want to continue forward after 2 dates, but she did tell me that she felt I cut her off, talked over her quite a bit. And she was telling me because she could tell I meant well and wasn't doing it to be rude and probably wasn't even aware I was doing it at all. She sensed my anxiety and that my brain was rushing to think of the next thing to say to respond to something she just said rather than waiting for her to finish. Who knows how many dates I might have gone on and blown it by inadvertently doing this. I've been cognizant about it ever since. Someone who compliments you way too much. This might sound weird, because of course everyone likes being complimented, but when I'm talking to you about something serious I don't want to hear back quote sorry I couldn't concentrate you're so beautiful or back quote wow I haven't heard a word you said cause all I want to do is kiss you all the damn time. This sort of clues me in that yeah I'm pretty but you've put me on such a high pedestal that you can't see me as anything less than a goddess and I want to be in a relationship not worshipped because you have a weird stuff, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry I stopped listening I was lost in your eyes. Continually posting bits of our relationship on social media. I'm dating the person, not their fan club. When the girl doesn't have any desire to develop her own life/career/passions. I want someone that I know that has a drive to go in life on her own and find her own happiness.